isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Talladega Speedway, where speed meets spectacle in the heart of Alabama. This is the penultimate round of the WRL Cup Series. Talladega 545 laps of action here tonight at Talladega. The Cup cars on track. A little bit of excitement last week ending the race. Hopefully we don't see a repeat of that this week, as I believe the unfortunate souls have been quickly removed from the session, but no doubt we should see a ton of action here tonight at Talladega. I'm Rob Campbell. This is Racer NEXUS. In the booth with me today, we've got Brian Zinn on board for 45 laps here around Talladega. Let's take a quick look here at the conditions. 81 degree Fahrenheit, going to translate to 114 degree track temp. Zinn, similar type of track temps here than what we saw last race. You were in the booth here with me at Homestead. We saw how that kind of played out with drivers really struggling to keep the rear end of the car behind them in Homestead with that high track temp. So what are we thinking is going to happen here tonight?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have an issue with Superspeedway keeping tires under them. I think they're going to have an issue with keeping the car under them with the bumping and drafting that's going to be going on out here. But yeah, the track temp's hot. Let's see if the drivers can keep their cool behind the wheel this week.
Yeah, hopefully cooler heads will prevail. We've lost all of the Stoop Tube team here this week, so we won't see any real team orders, I guess, on track this week. So it'll be interesting to see what drivers will pair up here, work together. I know the last time we went to a Superspeedway was in round one, where we saw, I believe it was Jack Humbert, and if I remember correctly, it was either James Johnson or Dalton Moore teamed up for the most part, really worked together all through the race and were able to stay out front entire race and take the win. So we've got Jack Humbert in the session again this week, but Dalton Moore, oh sorry, he is in here. He joined in late. I was looking earlier to see if he was in here, but yeah, in the session now is Dalton Moore. So interested to see if they can work together as James Johnson back again. A couple weeks really struggling here for Jimmy Johnson, as he's placed himself on the pole in the last three races, or in the top row at least. And unfortunately, in the first lap, hasn't made it into turn one. Last couple races, unfortunately, has been caught up in something. So hoping for a little better luck here for James Johnson. He can get himself a little further into the race this time. But just at the tail end of practice is in, why don't we take a look at the championship points, as we are getting down to the year end of the season here. Jack Humbert going to come into this one with a little bit of a commanding lead, 56 points or sorry, 58 points ahead of Dalton Moore in second place. Dalton Moore not too far up on Jonathan Pereira, so still a tight battle here. Well, I'd say the top 4, maybe even the top 5. But Eric Stuber no longer, I believe, going to show up here as he's one of the Stube Tube cars. So it looks like it's going to be a battle here for the top 4. Aiden and Darza are league admin, not necessarily out of this one, and then a few battles all back through the field. So with a lot of points being handed out each week here is in, it's still anybody's battle really to try and capture this one.
Yeah, and I think Talladega kind of is a track that emphasizes that nobody is fully out of it mentality. I mean, it's, you know, gambling at 200 miles an hour, right? You know, and we see it in the real life NASCAR playoffs. I mean, Daytona being the last race of the regular season before the playoffs. And for the last several years, it's always usually produced a first-time winner that gets in at the very last minute into the playoffs. So no playoffs here, but still, it's an opportunity for somebody to capitalize on somebody else's misfortune out here. We'll see if these guys can keep it clean. Looks like 13 drivers tonight, so it'll be a small but tight pack, and you know it's still a drafting track, so anything can happen.
Yeah, it looks like we had a couple guys actually pop in at the last minute. We're up to 15 drivers this one, but as you mentioned, Talladega track, you're never really out of this one, I guess, as long as you're in the draft of the main pack here, right down to the last lap, you can really make up a ton of positions on that last lap, utilizing the draft.
Yeah. Yep, unless you're like me doing a Draft Masters race where there's no cautions, then you're out of it after the first wreck splits the field in 3. So, but none of that tonight. We'll see who walks away with all the chips at the end of it, though.
Chips, now you're making me kind of hungry. I got a bag of various flavors upstairs that I may have to crack into once this race is over. But we see a couple drivers out here early on working together as we're on board here with Guy Oliveira, the Build Submarines car in the middle. He's pushing Cole Clausen with Dalton Moore in behind. So these 3 drivers have been going around the track here the last, I'm going to say 4 or 5 laps, nose to tail. So I'll have to keep an eye and see if they're working on a little bit of strategy here as the race unfolds. And as I suspect we're going to see some drafting partners team up here as the race goes through, and potentially lose a driver here and there.
Yeah, you know, I'm not saying that we're going to see manufacturer allegiances or anything like that, but you know, to note, we've got a couple Fords pushing nose to tail here, and Dalton Moore just kind of hanging around back in his number 18 Camaro there. But yeah, it'll be, you know, people think with super speedways, you know, you just keep your foot mashed to the floor and turn left a little bit, but it's a little bit more nuanced to that. You know, a bad bump at the wrong time can really spoil things for one guy or potentially the whole field if it happens up front. You know, somebody throws a block late or something like that, and next thing you know, you got a whole field of junk race cars. But we'll see how these guys handle it. You know, it's good to see them figuring out who's a good working partner with them. You know, some guys are better about receiving the push, and others are better giving the push. So we'll see how that all shakes out tonight through, what do we got, 43 laps, 45 laps?
45 laps on the card for tonight. So I know they changed the draft parameters of the Cup car. I don't know if it was this season or the season before. I'm trying to remember when it was. And they don't seem to have as wide a draft range now. There seems to be a real jeopardy of losing the draft here now as they compare it to seasons past. I think if you fall maybe about half a second or so back, you used to be able to draft right up to that pack in front of you. Now you're in jeopardy of losing the draft. It's been interesting to see how our drivers play that tonight. If anybody really gets on that verge of losing the draft, they try and find a way to get back up. If we even see any kind of side drafting, or we get kind of single file early on.
Yeah, it really is an interesting car to drive in a super speedway configuration. You know, tandem drafting isn't really kind of a thing, but that phenomenon you're talking about where you could kind of back off a little bit and get a run is definitely more pronounced when it's just you and another car versus you know, that car in front of you having somebody pulling them along. You're at a bigger risk of getting dropped off the back end if there's 3-4 cars that are in front of you. So you know, it's going to be how drivers manage the air. For me personally, I found that with this car, you know, kind of sticking half a nose out to the left or right of the car that you're behind helps, you know, close that bubble up a little bit. And then once you kind of break through that barrier and can lock onto the bumper, you're prime and ready to go there. So we'll see if these guys can figure that out. Side draft is very strong in these cars, especially if you've got a row of 6 cars on either side. I've seen a lot of cars be linked nose to tail on the bottom, and a 3-car pack come roaring up from the back just using the side draft. So we'll see how everybody uses these various tactics and everything throughout the night.
Yeah, we should also mention that there is no fast repair, quick repair, spare car, whichever term you'd like to use for being able to pop into the pits and get that damage all magically fixed. So it's something these drivers have had to deal with all season, and the last couple of races we had a pile up on lap 1. So definitely these drivers at a draft track like this, they can't afford any real aero damage, Brian. So they're gonna have to be real cognizant of that once we go green. Looks like we got a nice pack here working together in practice to get a real good feel of how each other are going to work on track.
Yeah, exactly. They're feeling each other out, figuring out who they can work with, who's good at taking those bumps, like I was mentioning earlier. And even in a situation like here, we're on board with Aiden on Darza. He's figuring out just how far back he can be and still pick up that draft. As we see him, really close in quickly on the 12 car in front of him there. So, those kinds of things, these guys will fall away in their back of the brain and use it throughout the race. And they go, hey, I noticed this in practice. Let's see if we can use it here. Another thing that'll be interesting is if we stay green long enough, how drivers will handle coming down at speed to do green flag pit stops. It's again something that from the outside seems pretty easy, but ends up always being a little bit tricky.
Yeah, another factor we should probably talk about is last few weeks that we've went to, tires have been a bit of an issue where they've had to kind of maintain their tires and really kind of save them. Talladega, not necessarily a track that's real hard on the tires, no real advantage to popping in and getting new tires for track position and not getting damage on the car. See a little bit of bumping there. And the I believe the 20 was at the 21, I believe, going up into the wall. But they do have a couple spare sets of tires, but only in a 45-minute lap. I think no real need to pop in and get those tires unless maybe the whole field comes in, just trying to stay on pace with those leaders. But I think I would try and go for track position if that were the case.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Thinking back to when I ran the Daytona 500 special event on iRacing, and several pit stops in a row that were just gas and go stops. So, if you're under caution, kind of a freebie, you go ahead and take it anyway. But if you're on a green flag stop and you're trying to keep pace or, maybe get in front of another car or two, you might look at just doing a gas and go kind of stop instead.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what kind of strategy plays out. But we got about 45 seconds to go left in qualifying here. I know there's various degrees of bumping as far as bump draft goes in a lot of the I guess the NASCAR category of vehicles, where the Xfinity car maybe you can bump not quite as hard as what you can in the Cup car. If I remember correctly, you can really hammer on the back bumper of the car ahead of you with the Cup car. Actually, I think it's almost even required to really utilize the bump draft here, where I think you mentioned it earlier, we got kind of stick a nose out, get a little air on the front end, cool off the water temps a little bit, and then get a run going. So is that more or less the strategy here at Talladega and the Cup car is in?
I think so. I think we'll see a lot of that. The concern that you're going to have, though, is as we see with this 3-car pack here, if say you're in the back end there of Ronald Breland's spot, and you end up pushing the pusher, as they call it, and if you've got that middle car that's backing off to get some air in the radiator, and the guy behind you is not aware of it, that could cause an accident as well. So just something to monitor. We'll see how these guys handle it in a pack shortly.
Yeah, I'm taking a look here at the manufacturer list as qualifying just about to kick underway as our drivers just getting reset back to the pits. But looks like a very Chevy dominant field here. Majority of the cars are Chevy. We got, it looks like 4 Fords in the field, and then the one Toyota of Braylon, who we were just talking about. I know in versions of the Cup car in the past, there was a little bit of variance from one manufacturer to another, but I think they're all fairly status quo now. It's just more or less stickers on the front end of them. Am I correct?
You are correct. Yeah, it's a lot of spec parts nowadays. Not as much leeway for the Days of Thunder effect, where Harry's building him a nice, sleek bullet of a race car. So the chassis, I believe, are all spec now, and it's really just variations in the bodywork. But the bodywork's got to fit within a template that NASCAR prescribes, and so more or less, it's all the same dimensions. When the cars first came to iRacing, there was some rumblings. Never really could confirm it or whatever, that the Mustangs were actually slightly better when they got the facelift, I should say, that we see now on Jack Humbert's car, to the new Dark Horse aero package, as they're calling it, but that they drafted a little bit better than the Chevys and Toyotas did. But again, just people saying things, you could never corroborate anything like that, and when you're in a huge big pack, you never noticed it anyway.
Interesting. I don't think I ever heard about that, but this is week 12 of iRacing's actual official season. So next week brings us into week 13. A bunch of track refreshes coming. I think they either finished off all the track refreshes last season on the NASCAR side, or they're going to be finished off this side. But some new content on the road side. Anything you're looking forward to trying out soon?
Yeah, they're finishing the last of the NASCAR refresh this season, this coming season. So we're gonna get the rescan of Daytona. Unfortunately, I think that includes that's going to include the fully paved bus stop, which I'm very unhappy about. But I'm excited for the rescan of Coda. I hope they fix the sausage curbs and the S's, which don't exist anymore. I'm excited for the Aston GT3 car. It's been long overdue. And I'm most excited for the Mustang GT4 car. Can't get the Dark Horse R yet to replace the Mustang Challenge car, but I'm happy to have the Mustang GT4.
I kind of wish iRacing's never really done this as far as I can remember, but I wish they'd kind of update all of the one manufacturer at the same time. Like they're bringing in the Aston GT3, but I had heard strong rumblings that the GTP was supposed to be coming this season too as well. But it'd be nice to see if them bring in, the Valkyrie in the GTP field, the Vantage in GT3, and update the Vantage to the Evo in the GT4. Just do that for one time. Just bring in the entire one manufacturer, kind of like a lot of the other sims do, where they update all of that content. It would have been nice if we got all the Ford content at the same time when we got the GT3, got the new updated GT4, as it was actually the oldest car out of all the Mustangs running in the IMSA series. It was out first, then they brought out the GT3, and then the Dark Horse this past season. So at least we're going to get more or less up to date. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that Dark Horse, as it's one of the few stick shift vehicles left in racing.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch them in person again. There's a support series for the WC 6-hour race at Coda this weekend coming up, so should be fun. But yeah, I agree. And even in the development blog, they talked about that. The Aston GT3 coming is the start of more cars coming from Aston Martin, which more or less I feel like is a confirmation that the Valkyrie is going to be here probably in season 1 of 2026. But the closest that I can think of that they've done is when they launched the Cayman GT4 and the Porsche Cup car, the 991 Cup car, I think it was at the same time. But yeah, I agree. I wish that, when they work with these manufacturers, it's in a capacity of, hey, we're going to drop, 2, 3, 4 cars all at one time. And, it's like, hey, here's our partnership with Ferrari, and here's the Ferrari Challenge car, and, the Ferrari F1 car, and, whatever else they've got cooking up. The Ferrari F1 car is just a rumor. That's not confirmation. I'm not leaking anything. But yeah, with Aston Martin's, like, here's the Valkyrie, here's the GT3, here's the GT4, Porsche, here's the new GT4, here's the new GT3, here's the new Cup car. I agree. It would be something that would be nice for iRacing to improve on.
Yeah, just be, one of those little tip your hat kind of thing. You guys have been asking for everything from this manufacturer. Here you go. Here you have it. But qualifying just finished up. We'll take a look here at the grid and see how we're going to start up. Is Jack Humbert going to start himself up on pole? Comes into this one leading the championship. He's going to lead the field to green with Dalton Moore, his championship main rival starting to his outside. Guy Oliveira in third. Grady Mooney going to start in fourth. Ian Meneses in fifth. Travis Plato going to round out row 3 in sixth. James Jimmy Johnson in seventh. Christopher Toppings in eighth place. Christopher also our sponsor for the broadcast this season. Joseph Dormus in ninth. David Walker in 10th. Dustin Mooney going to start in 11th. Aiden Andarza, R and Min starting in 12th. We're going to find Scotty Landing in 13th. Gordon Herring in 14th. Cole Clausen, Jonathan Pereira, and Ronald Braylon going to round out the field. Our lone Toyota starting shotgun on the field here. So we're waiting for the field to grid up here behind the old Mustang we were just talking about here, pace car. So the old iRacing Mustang, one of the I guess one of the more original pace cars here on iRacing's in.
Yeah, I think so. It was certainly the pace car I first remember seeing when I first joined iRacing many years ago.
So we're just waiting for Ian Meneses to join the grid. 17 cars gridding up for this one. I think that's probably just about the right size for a race at Talladega. You start getting into the 30-plus car fields, and I think it just breeds more carnage than anything else in. So 17 cars should give the guys plenty of room to maneuver around each other. And if something does go wrong, you don't have 10, 15 cars barreling into maybe a car that gets a little sideways or down on the apron.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a pretty good size pack. Will still allow for a lot of side-by-side racing, a lot of close drafting action that we love to see at these super speedway races. Interesting to see that Cole Clausen, Jonathan Pereira, and Ronald Braylon didn't set a time. So I wonder if they're thinking similar to I do with these kind of races, that doesn't really matter how you qualify. You're all going to be in the same pack once the green flag drops, and maybe it's better to be at the back and avoid the early on carnage that's inevitable.
Yeah, I haven't found a strategy that seems to fit me yet. It seems to be if I qualify and maybe start somewhere up near the front, I get wrapped up in something. If I don't qualify, start at the back. And again, I just seem to get wrapped up in something where the track is completely blocked and there's no way to go. So maybe in the end, maybe just left turn racing just isn't for me.
Yeah, I'm convinced that my NASCARs have a hit me here magnet stuck somewhere in it, because I'm very similar. The number of times that I've been minding my own business and been involved in somebody that's bounced off the apron or had a weird bounce up into me or gets turned up into me is I've lost count.
Yeah, it's I think we both have the same magnets excuse me, the same magnets on the front end of our car. But on board here with Christopher Toppings, he's going to be starting mid-pack here, P8. You know, what's your preference in bottom line, top line in a super speedway race here? I always feel a little more comfortable on the bottom, where if something happens, generally cars move up towards the top, gives you that little bit of extra time to potentially get away from anything that's going to happen.
Yep, I'm a bottom line guy. I need that automatic exit stage left at these super speedway races. Even if somebody spins down towards the bottom, I've got a lot of room to try and go around them. But as these guys come through the trial where we're used to seeing the start line, remember Talladega is actually closer to turn 1, so.
Here you go, we're green. See a clean start so far. Nice to see after the last couple weeks, no pile-ups early on. Jack Humbert going to give up his spot to Dalton Moore. Dalton Moore going to move around the outside, take that position away. So see how quickly the field gets single file here, because it looks like a couple of drivers already trying to get down to the bottom. For the most part, single file on the bottom line.
Yeah, a little, I don't know if it's strategy or just bad reaction for Pereira and Herring at the back, but careful not to fall off the back. Looks like some big bumps in the mid-pack there as these guys try and get linked up here. Looks like everybody's on the bottom except for Plato and Johnson on the high side.
A little bit of a connection issue there quickly for Jimmy Johnson. So we'll see if he's able to get himself a little clearer line there. But a couple cars trying to work the top line there. Looks like a Dormus leading that pack with the red 41 on the the outside. I'm trying to see who he's got in behind him. Looks like the 111 of Travis Plato and then James Johnson on the outside. But James Johnson's going to duck back down to that bottom line. That's going to leave Dormus and Plato a little high and dry on the top side.
Yeah, that was kind of a strong move from Dormus to move up in front of Plato, and I don't know if that kind of stalled him out or what, but Johnson, thinking better of it, has moved down to the bottom side and fall in line with everybody else, but starting to see two packs kind of break up here with the jockeying in that midfield. It's allowed the front runners to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, right now, Joseph Dormus, as you mentioned, kind of leading that secondary pack. He's got Dustin Mooney, David Walker, James Johnson in behind him. So if they got enough cars in behind, if they can get themselves some kind of a little tighter grouping here, as in they can reel back in the leaders. We're already seeing Dormus and Mooney pulling that gap back in. Actually, they're getting a strong run up the outside. They can move around the 43 of NEXUS. Next up is Guy Oliveira. Looks like they're going to stall out once they hit Oliveira, but they've got themselves back up in that lead back as we see Dalton Moore trying to push Jack Humbert, trying to push Dalton Moore around up at the front.
Yeah, and that run you saw is kind of what I was talking about in practice, where, you know, if you get a big run, you can start using the side draft and pull yourself further up alongside that inside line. And if you get guys behind you that start pushing you, that's how the outside line starts getting worked in. But as you said, kind of stalled out once they got up around the 707 on the bottom. Not real tight, which is not helping their case to try and move forward either. But still early on. We're only a few laps into this, so plenty of time to get regrouped and make another charge at it.
Yeah, it looks like Dormus was trying to side draft off of Oliveira and NEXUS. Look, it's going to work out for him as that pack on the top side starting to fall back. They're getting a few more cars up the top. We've got two strong lines developing here now is in, so we'll see if that top line can get itself up towards the front. Go a little too wide for a few laps here.
Yeah, and you saw there with the 41 running wide off of turn 4, and I think that was just from the pushing he was getting from the 15 behind. Like I said, all it takes is one bad push at the wrong time, and trouble happens. So, oh boy, looks like the 28 got one of those bad pushes. He's around.
Yeah, looks like he was able to collect it up though. So nice done for him. See if he can get tucked back in and not lose the draft. As he's on virtue of losing it, I think he's going to follow the draft, but good save by him. Looks like everybody congratulating him on the radio, but nicely done. But got a little more separation up front as Dalton Moore. Oh, not sure what happened to Jack Humbert. Yeah, seeing him falling down here, up into the grass. Let's see if we can pick up what happened to him here. And here we go. So Humbert giving Dalton Moore a push. Oliveira came down, just tagged the right corner. Looks like Humbert kept it off the wall, got himself back on track. So he's going to be hoping for a yellow to come out here.
Yeah, and I think while Jack was still trying to gather that car, he ended up losing it and ended up in the wall anyway. So tough break for our points leader.
Yeah, heavy hit into the wall there. Luckily enough for him, he's got a bit of a lead over Dalton Moore in the points, so he can afford probably not a optimal finish here and still have a chance to battle next week at Charlotte. But right now, Dalton Moore up front, Grady Mooney tucked up tight on his bumper. We got 3 wide in behind between Dormus, Walker, and Johnson.
Yeah, they are running each other real tight when they're making these passes. I think it's 5 to go or less.
Actually, looking at Dormus's front bumper, looks like he's got a little bit of damage there. Look back here from Grady Mooney, that front bumper pushed in quite a bit for Dormus. We'll see if we can get a little better view of the front end. Yeah, he's got a little bit of caving in on that front. Didn't see him really get into anybody, but definitely have a little bit of aero deficiency on the front end of that Chevrolet.
Yeah, we need to cycle through and figure out who's got the matching dent on the back end of their car.
Yeah, somebody's got a little bit of red and black paint on their rear bumper, but it seems to be affecting him when he's in the draft. But once he gets out in the clear areas, I think I feel like he hit a bit of a wall. I see him quickly duck back in behind Mooney. 3 cars trying to break away though, but Jimmy Johnson still having those connection issues. blinking in and out. And no doubt that's a little worrisome for Plato, Meneses, and Andarza, who are right in around him.
Yeah, it's you know, the moves that Dormus is trying to pull to get up around Mooney is allowing the cars behind him to draw up to him. So, you know, that breakaway pack of Dalton Moore and Grady Mooney are getting caught. But if these guys could get organized behind them, they could give a serious run, as it's like we're trying to, and they're in the wall.
And looks like Travis Plato up into the wall. Looks like he's going to keep going. Still green. He's going to have some heavy damage on that car. The right side really banged up. He's going to pop into the pits. Looks like I didn't quite see if that was Dormus or if it was one of the other cars getting beside him. But let's see if we can pick up a replay of that here as we go back to see what's going up front and with the leaders.
Yeah, just kind of watching. You know, Dormus is he can get the runs, but it doesn't look like he's driving the car. It looks like he's letting the car drive in a little bit on some of these moves, and I just have a feeling that it's causing a little bit of chaos out there. It's hard to work with him.
Let's see if we can see what happened. Oh, it looks like they just got a little loose in the draft there, and fortunately shot Dormus up into Plato. So Plato Humber out early on in this one. We're actually clicking off laps pretty quick. Is in 45 lap race. Isn't all that long at Talladega. We're now 10 laps into this one. Dalton Moore leading the way. Grady Mooney, James Johnson right in behind. Joseph Dormus now trying to give Johnson a push as the 51 pulled up out of the draft and almost got quartered there by Johnson.
Yeah, and then right there again, you saw Dormus third in line, and you know, the 51 of Mooney pulled out and is dropping back, and he almost got driven in the wall by the 41. So, you know, it's one of those things where he's driving a little bit like Hocevar out there, just kind of putting his rub marks on everybody at this point. So, really aggressive moves we're seeing out of the 41, and as we see him below the yellow, that's not going to work well. But kind of impatient driving that's led to a couple of incidents already tonight.
Yeah, we still got a long ways to go in this one. Maybe they need to kind of cool off a little bit here, make sure that everybody gets to the finish line. Looks like they really want to battle to the death at this point in time. Dormus looking really aggressive up in behind Dalton Moore. So see how it works out. Dustin Mooney, we saw him taking him a couple times, but looks like that connection's cleared up for him too as well. Couple looks like elite racing teammates here now in second and third, so see if they can work together to try.
I don't know if I'm Dalton Moore and I see this car behind me in the mirror, if I don't just pull out and let him go by. I don't know if it's worth getting potentially wrecked over with the way he's moving around on that back bumper there.
Yeah, looks like Dormus really struggling to hold the car straight in the draft, so they're going to try and move to the top side here as they move around Dalton Moore. As I mentioned, if I was Dalton Moore, I might just back out, let those two guys get up there. It's as Mooney almost got into the right corner of Dalton Moore there.
These guys are definitely not listening to their spotter as we're seeing the 41 throwing massive blocks. Looks like Oliveira gets turned back there, and we have our first caution of the night.
Yeah, Oliveira, and it looks like the 71 of Cole Clausen involved in that one too. So I'm not sure if they got into each other, but see if we can find a replay here in a second and get to the bottom of what happens to Oliveira on the bottom and behind Aiden Darza. It looks like the 51 just got into the right corner there enough that it spun Oliveira around and collected Clausen. Oliveira going to have substantial damage on the front end. I'm not sure how bad Cole Clausen's car was. It seemed maybe just got spun. Not really seeing much as far as damage on that car. Looking fairly clean right now, Zin.
Yeah, hopefully no tie towing damage or anything like that. That's kind of the weak point on these cars, and get wheel damage pretty easily, unfortunately. But yeah, Cole Clausen looking like you and I in these oval races, just innocent victim there.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get a rear view shot here from Cole Clausen to see what exactly happened to him up behind. So onboarding plus, oh, you see Oliveira just got turned around into him. Nothing really Clausen could do. Had no time to react to that one. All right, well, that's going to leave us with 14 cars on track, a couple of them with some damage. Oliveira still out there, hasn't popped into the pits to get some damage repaired, so he's definitely going to be hurting. Scotty landing just at the back of the lead pack here. Definitely a driver happy to see that yellow flag, as he was our first driver. Kind of lost it down on the apron, was able to collect it up, keep it off the walls in, so no doubt he's happy to see that yellow and get himself back up into the lead pack.
Absolutely. You know, at places like Daytona and Talladega, it's not a matter of if, but when the caution's going to come out. So I'm sure for him, it was just a matter of riding around and waiting, and just hoping that there'd be a lot of laps left to try and make some moves to the front by the time it did come out. But so we see almost everybody coming down pit road here doing their tire and fuel changes, and for guys like Oliveira, we'll take advantage of these long pace laps to try and get as much damage repaired as possible.
Yeah, interesting. We didn't see that our top 4 drivers didn't come in for service. Everybody in the back half of the field came in. Dalton Moore, Dustin Mooney, Ian Meneses, and David Walker, all electing to stay out on their original tires. I mentioned early on, I don't think tires really get eaten up much at Talladega, but we're really going to see if that's true or if I'm just talking out of my, well, talking out of both sides of my mouth here. We'll see. Dalton Moore in that trolley car. Going to take top spot again. He's going to have a little bit of breathing room as Dustin Mooney's lost his teammate right now, Joseph Dormus, as Dormus still in the pits, trying to get some of that damage repaired you mentioned.
Yeah, the big winner of this caution, I'm sure, is Dalton Moore's blood pressure and heart rate, seeing Dormus go into the pits and not be right behind him or next to him on the restart.
Yeah, we'll see how he deals with the restart here. As so we're going to have 11 cars, 12 cars on the lead lap without damage. So see if we go 2 wides in, or they elect to go single file.
Yeah, I don't know how they do their restarts, if they do it single file or 2 wide here. But speaking of restarts, something of note for the Oval fans in the development blog that came out is that iRacing is going to implement the choose rule in a future update. So for all of those left-turning fans out there that were screaming that it's not a true simulator because we don't have the choose rule, you will get your wish soon enough. And the chaos of pacing under yellow is going to get even more chaotic by adding a arrow on the track that people won't be able to figure out.
Yeah, I'll be one of those guys that I'll admit I was in a it was a hosted session race for some league that does just do random hosted sessions and try and recruit people on the weekends. And I think myself, Stan, and I want to say like Tyler jumped into one of the sessions and started saying choose cone. And I had to ask Stan what the heck the choose cone was all about. So it was a new concept to me. So I've been around racing long enough that I figure if it's a new concept to me, anybody who does predominantly road stuff and maybe dabbles in a little bit of the left turn, it's going to be a really foreign concept to them too as well. So maybe you want to just explain it to the viewers while we're still under yellow here.
Yeah, so basically what NASCAR introduced a few seasons ago was the choose cone, which is basically an orange upside down arrow painted on the track, and there's markers on the wall and the fence as well, since drivers can't see the track very well. But effectively, when you're coming to it, you can pick whether you want to line up in the outside lane or the inside lane. So, you know, traditionally, as we see here, as they're pacing behind the pace car, you have the first place car on the inside, second place on the outside. Well, with the choose cone or the choose rule, you could theoretically have 1, 2, 3, 4 all be on the inside lane, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 on the outside. But to the viewer, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, but that's not how it's going to show up in the standings. So it's a little bit confusing to the fan that's new to it. I just have to chuckle because it's hard enough to get people to follow the directions of the black box under pacing anyway, and we're just going to add something else that not a lot of people, well, a lot of people outside of the overall are used to. So looks like can't tell, are the lights still on the pace car?
Nope, they're out. They're out.
All right, looks like we're going to go green this time by.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the pace car to duck back in. But as you mentioned earlier, the start-finish line well down the, I guess it would be front straight. It's not really a straight, but so we'll see when we get going in green again. Dalton Moore, Dustin Mooney going to lead them to the green flag. What are you expecting to see here the first couple laps? And you think we're going to stay 2x2 or quickly get back into single file?
I think we'll see them quickly try and get back into single file here, but looks like a lot of guys kind of napping on that restart there. Big jump out front for Dalton Moore, which normally would be great. That's what you want, but at a super speedway, it just makes you more of a sitting duck once the pack behind you gets organized.
Yeah, they run up on you very quick. It looks like Johnson and Vanessa is going to be the first car really getting in line, starting to push. As Dustin Mooney already looking to the outside of Moore. He's going to get the run by him. Looks like Vanessa is going to go with the leader on the restart there. Dalton Moore stay on the bottom side, but Ronald Braylon coming out of nowhere up on the top side. He started at the back of this pack. And he and Chris Toppings, the Menards car on the top, and getting a massive run on that top line.
Yeah, the 19 of David Walker kind of got shuffled back there as everybody was moving to the bottom, but then had a couple cars come up behind him and a couple cars in front of him. Next thing you know, you had a 5-car train looking to make their way towards the front, but a few of those cars have thought better of it and gotten back to the inside lane, maybe a couple spots up from where they were originally, but looks like they're following similar to the start of the race and trying to get back single file on the bottom.
It looks right now like Dustin Mooney getting left out hung to dry. Started second place on the restart here, trying to make the move around more early on. Got cycled up top and he's fallen all the way back now into, looks like, back to 6th place, getting a run now up on the outside. He's starting to get a little bit of help from David Walker and the 71 of Cole Clausen. Clausen, the car that was involved in the yellow flag that we got to at this point in time. No real damage on his car. It looks like it's working well with David Walker on the top side, but they're losing a ton of pace as they stay out there.
Yeah, and, we have to note that, a lot of these guys are probably in the Discord voice channel, and so they may be talking with one another about trying to link up and strategize for the laps to come. And so, we see these guys change lanes pretty quickly, and it could be just to work with certain drivers.
That's a good point too as well. You find yourself early on, Zin, trying to find a driver on track who seems to be running a comparable kind of strategy as far as how aggressive they're going to be. See if you're going to set up some kind of allegiance for later on in the race.
I just look for somebody that I can trust to be a good draft partner. So, we kind of talked about it at length during the practice session, and it's kind of panned out that, some of these guys are not good with the pushes or not good with receiving the bumps from behind, and it's caused a lot of race cars to move around. As we see the 51 get up into the 12 and hard into the wall back there. That might bring out another caution. Looks like it does.
It was Christopher Toppings, our broadcast sponsor, unfortunately getting up into the wall. Heavy damage on the right front. It looks like that right front suspension is done. That right front tire not turning it while it's turning now as he gets down off the banking. That's going to be race ending for Christopher Toppings. See if we can pick up a replay here in a moment, too. But rough start there for Toppings.
Yep. Got the sponsor of the broadcast, got the airtime, but not for the reasons he wanted, I'm sure.
Yeah, we have to do a little work to try and find this one for some reason, but it's not flagging him as an incident. So we'll see here if maybe we can find
it looked like the 51
may
may have gotten loose. Just kind of drifted up into him.
Oh, yeah, he did. You're right there. The 51 is Grady Mooney. Let's see if we can find maybe a little more of an onboard here from him.
Yeah, not sure if he was just trying to move up there to get behind another car to get in the draft down the back straightaway and misjudged it, or just had a momentary lapse, or it looked like a bit of net code involved too, which is never fun to deal with.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Both those cars actually showing quite a bit of damages. Mooney in the pits too as well, along with Chris Toppings. Mooney actually missed his pit stall, getting backed into his stall. We see Toppings coming into his stall there now. Has been able to nurse that car around. They actually had to go all the way around, since that happened on the front straight just past the start-finish line.
Yeah, and with the tow time being what it is, if you can drive it back, it's going to save you a little bit of time. But when you're facing an engine repair like the 12 is there with all that smoke coming out of the back, I'm not sure it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, he needs more than some aero damage. But looks like our leader, Dalton Moore, going to come in, as well as David Walker. So pretty much the cars that stayed out under the first caution are come in and get some tires now, as we're almost near the halfway marks in. So we get some fresh rubber, get back out on track. Looks like Johnson and Darza are going to stay out for this one. Actually, sorry, correct. David Walker going to elect to not come in for pit service again too as well. Our only driver at this point in time hasn't come in for service, so he's going to get himself up into third place. Vegan in Aiden Darza moving himself up into second place. Strong race for him right now. Able to stay out of trouble. Got himself up 10 spots into second place with the Scrub Daddy car.
Yeah, and we saw some of those folks that came in for the pit stop the first time going back down again. So maybe topping up the fuel and preparation for maybe a green white checker scenario if they already had enough fuel to make it to the end, or just topping up to go further if somehow the race gets to the point of green flag pit stops.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever participated in a race at Talladega that's went green flag pit stops. It just seems to be the nature of the track that inevitably somebody's going to cause something, or somebody's going to have a little lapse of focus and just a little tiny bump at those kind of speeds, and it kicks off all kinds of carnage.
Yeah, and even if it's the main pack that's running well, you get some of those NIS races that are half regulation distance and get lap down cars in the mix that maybe aren't as clean of drivers as the main pack, and get some chaos thrown in the mix that way. But yeah, it looks like a lot of the guys that pit before have cycled up to the front of the pack, with the exception of Dave Walker hasn't pit yet. So have to be thinking what his fuel levels are, assuming that they didn't start with a full enough fuel load to make it all the way to the end. So have to think what his strategy is going to be here as we have 25 to go.
Yeah, looking back here from Gordon Herring at Joseph Dormus, still showing a fair bit of damage on the front end of that car. That's going to cost him a ton of speed in the draft, and definitely if he pops out of the draft is in. So I'm surprised he didn't pop back down to the pits last time by, try to get a little more damage fixed up. But see, as he's going to have a ton of quick cars in behind him. Dalton Moore, who was our leader last time by, he's going to be in behind him. And looks like we're getting cycled up to go two by two to restart this race.
And I'm seeing in the notes that the 38 of Jonathan Pereira was given a end-of-line penalty.
Oh, interesting.
I do not know what it is for, though, but looks like he is currently in the pits, so I'm not sure the ELL penalty is going to make a bit of a difference.
Yeah, his car isn't looking damaged at all, so I'm wondering what's going on there. Maybe he pit under closed pits. I don't know what's going on, but either way, that's going to put a hamper on his potential race finish here tonight. So James Johnson got himself up top. He'll have Liga Min, Aiden, and Darza on his outside. We've seen Johnson with a little bit of connection issues, so hopefully that's clear here as we go green. You hate to see somebody get taken out by connection issues, but it's going to be interesting. A couple damaged cars mixed in towards the front of this one. They're going to be a little bit of a cork in the bottom once we start getting back up into speed here, Zin. It'd be nice to see those damaged cars kind of move out of the way early on.
Yeah, or just hold their position in line and be the pusher instead of on the receiving end of the pushing. So oftentimes with some of the front end damage, if you can get up to the back bumper, it doesn't hamper you too much if you're in the pack as much as it does if you're trying to lead the pack. So if you're somebody like Joseph Dormus with that pavement front end still, I'd like to see him maybe link up with the 11 in front of him or somebody on the bottom if they get down to it, and try and push him to the front.
Pace car is in. Here comes the field around to start this one up. We're going to go green again on lap 25. So just past the halfway mark. It's the home stretch now, Zin. Looks like everybody getting a nice start here, fairly clean.
Yeah, big jump from James Jimmy Johnson up front, but as we saw in the last restart, it's only a matter of time before he gets reeled in by the cars behind him if they get linked up.
Here comes Andarza now, the Scrub Daddy car tight on the bottom. They're closing up. Looks like he's going to try and just get right in behind Johnson, getting a little bit of a bump draft there. But David Walker, Ronald Brelin, all single file in behind. So it looks like we're going to go single file. Just as I said that, I thought we were going to go single file. Dalton Moore going to pop up top. He's got Cole Clausen going with him.
Yeah, and I saw Dormus dropped well back on the restart there. So either that damage is hampering him or guys not want to work with him after his driving during the first part of this race.
Yeah, I think that damage is probably hurting him substantially. The best he can do is try and stay at the back of the pack and try and get as much draft as he can. But we have two lines developing here. Ronald Brelin's going to pop up top of Dalton Moore. So we'll see how that Toyota works with a couple. Actually, we got all three different manufacturers up top. Toyota leading a Chevy leading a Ford in this Chevy dominant field. It's as you see all three there up on the top. They're going to make a move around Jimmy Johnson here on with 22 to go. Ronald Bellin up to the front of the field. Oh no! Got some cars.
Massive wreck from the 60 back behind, but we stay green so far. Oh, now the yellow comes out. Looks like the 43 and the 60 involved in that.
Oh, looks like Herring already into the wall there. Let's see. Maybe
a bad push.
I'm not sure, but
there.
The 41 of Dormus looking like a tank there as Herring came down, tagged him on the side, and Dormus's car didn't even move. Herring got shot back up into the wall. See if
maybe an instance of netcode being nice for a change.
Yeah, a rare instance there of netcode being nice. Let's see, maybe here from a little farther back. There we go. So we're on board with Dustin Mooney, Gordon Herring just ahead of him here. Oh, looks like he just got
just looked like a bad push. Yeah. You can see Gordon kind of moving around in front of him. Don't know if that was a result of the push or just had a bad entry into the corner and didn't get let off from the car behind and got spun around for his trouble, unfortunately, there.
Yeah, it's just the nature of things at Talladega, as you mentioned early on. It doesn't take much. One little mistake here, and that can happen. What are your thoughts on bump drafting in the corner? As that was more or less a little bit of a bump in the corner. We kind of saw what happened.
I'm of the camp. I've never been a fan of it. I know there's a lot of people out there that will say it's perfectly fine if you know what you're doing, but that's exactly the problem. A lot of people don't know what they're doing. So, my strategy has usually been if I'm bumping somebody that, I've got a pretty good idea of when we start entering the corner, and I've got a point where I'll back off a little bit, drag the brakes some to get a little bit of separation, and then maintain that small bit of gap, one, to get some air into the radiator, and two, so I make sure I'm not upsetting the car in front whatsoever, and then link back up coming out of the corners into the triangle or onto the back straightaway. But I know there's a lot of people that can do it and can do it very well and can be very fast at it, but I've personally been of the camp that the risk is not worth it. So
yeah, I've never been great at bump drafting in the corner either. So I usually try and shy away from it. I know really to go as fast as you possibly can, you need to be able to master it, but just a skill set I don't have. But we got our lone Toyota out front now. Ronald Brelin made a strong move up top with Dalton Moore, and I believe it was Cole Clausen that went along with him. So see now if Brelin's able to stay up there. Looked like he and Moore and Clausen were working well together. So see if the three of them are going to try and hook back up here again once we go green again, Zin. But we saw some cars in practice. We noted it earlier, working together, trying to feel things out. If I remember correctly, I think Moore and Brelin might have been two of those cars we saw in that pack, trying to work together. So they have a little bit of familiarity of how each one's going to drive in the draft.
Yeah, and that's the importance of doing that practice, and asking a few guys to go out there and run with you to see first of all how you're going to handle it, and two who you can try and link up with in the race if they're around you. So um, potentially paying dividends here as we got one or two to go, and getting down under 20 to go towards the finish of this race. So seeing in the race notes that the restarts have changed to single file, so that might limit some of the linking up with Braylon and more, but I imagine they'll find a way to link back up again.
Looks like we're going to go green next time by, so it's going to put us green with 18 to go into sprint territory here now. As in more or less the gloves will be coming off. Drivers won't be as patient to try and stay in behind somebody. They're going to be trying to get themselves up towards the front. 18 laps will go pretty quick at Talladega.
Yeah, they definitely will, and I think in contrast to other restarts where it's been a race to get to single file, I think we're going to see more guys try and jump to the outside and get something established and move up. So I don't expect them to stay single file very long.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who trusts one another to work together, but it's dash time. As I mentioned, this is the penultimate race. Next week is going to be the finale at Charlotte. It's going to be more in tune with the tracks that we've been to last couple weeks beforehand with Homestead and Atlanta, Echo Park, I guess they're calling it. So a whole lot of change here from those tracks to Talladega and then back to, was it a mile and a half type size track for the finale, where Charlotte Roval, or not the Roval, so the Charlotte Oval is a whole other animal itself. It's got that nasty bump, I think is coming out of turn 4, if I remember correctly, where you can really get loose heading to the start-finish line. And I've seen many a driver have their race lost coming out of that corner.
Yeah, and if the bump doesn't get you, that dog leg going through the tri-oval seems to catch people out there too. So yeah, Charlotte's one of my favorite tracks to race. I look forward to doing the Coke 600 special event every year, and anytime it's an official race, I try and do it. Used to be similar to Texas in the past, which Texas being my closest NASCAR oval track, but they've kind of destroyed Texas over the years. But Charlotte's still great, and we'll, as you said, different animal to Superspeedway racing. Contrasting with how Atlanta got reconfigured to be a little bit more like Superspeedway racing.
Yeah, I really like the new Atlanta. I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah,
It
or
fit me. It's
single
really,
file restarts and massive 2+ second gap between Braylon and Johnson here.
Yeah, I think that's going to hurt Braylon more than anything. He might be feeling comfortable out front, but that pack going to reel him right in. They might just run right past him on the top line. He might lose, I'd say 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, it's like it's the rabbit at the Greyhound track right there.
He's going to see that pack coming up real quick on him. Actually, let's go on board here with Braylon, have a look back. Let's see how long it takes them to catch up on the back stretch now. You see them getting the front end of Johnson's car getting bigger and bigger by the second.
Yeah, somebody cue the Jaws theme.
Here they go.
Yeah, and you're just a sitting duck. Nothing you can do. You can't throw a block with that steam train going behind you.
Yeah, looks like he's going to fall all the way back. Potentially in behind Mooney. Lanning getting all the way back ahead of him. So he's going to fall all the way back down to 8th place. Rough.
Man, that's the worst feeling in the world on the ovals right there. I feel for you, Braylon. That's tough right there.
It was self-inflicted, though. He chose to get right up ahead of the pack there. I'm not sure if he was maintaining pace speed or maybe the cars in behind him fell back. We'll have to see. Maybe there's a ruling after the race. But right now, Dalton Moore, car who's been either first or second majority of the race, get himself back out front, getting a push from James Johnson and Cole Clausen. Clausen and Moore we've seen work together. So we'll see if they can try and find a way to get linked back up again here now. James Johnson will try and keep them separated.
Yeah, it's taken a while, but the cream of the crop of the drafters have seemed to finally work their way up to the front of this field. So these guys all have shown they can work really well with one another. I say that as there's a little quick check there back there around 6th place, but Yeah, these front four guys, and Braylon's worked his way back up to fourth after getting absolutely steamrolled on the restart there. We'll see how that shakes out. So getting to that point where, like I was saying, when you start getting two car tandems, it's a lot harder to make moves. So a lot of communication, I'm sure, going on in Discord about who's going to make the move and when.
And having a look here to see what drivers are in the Discord session together. We've got Eamon Garza, Dalton Moore, James Johnson, and Scotty Lanning. So interesting. See if maybe those four drivers in communication together here or not. But Dalton Moore leading the way. James Johnson looking content right now as Andy says tucked in behind.
Yeah, you know, if I'm in Johnson's spot, there's really not an advantage to make a move here with 15 to go. You know, you're not really going to try and make a move probably until there's closer to 3 to go. So, sure, for him, it's a matter of staying put, just watching what the guys behind him are doing, you know, monitoring the run. As we see Dustin Mooney get a run, but nothing doing there. So, if he doesn't get tucked back in, he's at risk of getting dropped by those front four cars, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, a little bit of damage on the front end of Mooney there. That's going to allow Walker and Garza, Lanning, and the rest of that pack to join back up. So 4-car pack had broken away, but they've been pulled back in. We've got first place all the way back to ninth. All of our lead lap cars in now tucked up, nose to tail with 15 to go as they're heading to line.
Yeah, and you know, Scotty Lanning back there in 8th place. You know, he had that spin early on and was way down at the tail pack, but with the cautions that we've had, he's been able to catch back up to the field and keep the nose clean, and now he's right in this. So he's got as much of a chance as anybody in this front 9-10 cars to win. Oh, well, those guys don't have a chance to win anymore.
Yeah, I kind of saw that coming. Braylon and Mooney had been bumping and banging a couple times where we saw one trying to dive under the other, one coming up in front of the other one, and inevitably it came to blows there. So Braylon got spun, damage on him. Mooney damage on front end too as well. So see if we can find a replay here of what happened there.
I think somebody paid to have a Chevy sacrifice to remove the only Toyota in the race, personally.
So we got Braylon the 11 on the top side, getting pushed there by Mooney. They're gonna nose tail a little bit, get a little loose. Braylon drops down, comes back up. Mooney, a little bit of bump in the corner. Braylon goes down. I think Braylon's gonna come back up. Mooney comes down. It's just a matter of the two cars kind of getting together at the same time there. One going up, one coming down, and inevitably you touch on the corner like that, and at least one car is going to go around. Unfortunately, it cost them both the race.
Yep, just 2 into 1 never works. Unfortunate that 2 strong race cars are now out of the race.
Yeah, Dalton Moore though, hold on to top spot. He has James Johnson, Cole Clausen in behind him. David Walker's moved himself back up into 4th. Scotty Lanning, as you mentioned, been able to kind of work his way back up front. He had that incident early on where he almost lost the lead lap, as in been able to kind of keep his head down, keep plugging forward. Got himself back up into 5th place. So we'll see, maybe he's got something to offer these guys up front. Aidan Darza as well, sitting in 6th place, 4th place in the points coming into this one. He'd love to try and get a few more points, try and maybe close in on a couple of drivers ahead of him in the championship as well.
Yeah, and you know, you got Cole Clausen there sitting in 4th place, who was the innocent victim of a wreck earlier. You know, managed to get lucky and not hit the wall, not get a toe link damage from the hit there, and been able to get himself right back up in the middle of this fight. So I'm sure he'll be petitioning for some support from the cars behind him to try and work with him to get around the duo of Johnson and Moore.
So we just saw Pereira going up around the top side, getting a lucky dog. That's going to put him back on the lead lap in 10th place. So we're going to have 10 cars on the lead lap here with, looks like it'll be about 11 to go this time by. The lights are still on the pace car. So we're going to go green again with 10 to go. That's fighting territories in. It's when you work with whoever you can at that point in time to try and get yourself to the front.
Absolutely. It's definitely crossing into every man for himself territory. So, drivers, if they could, are strapping their virtual belts a little bit tighter there. Getting up on the steering wheel and trying to fight, and we'll probably see some pretty big blocks coming in these last 10 laps.
Yeah, blockers are gonna block, and this is the time to do it. So Dalton Moore, though, if you're out front, you don't really have to worry a whole lot. He's been able to stay out there. He's been able to fend off pretty much any charge so far. Once Jack Humbert unfortunately got spun out of the race here, so we'll see if he's able to continue his defense, keep himself up front. We'll see if James Johnson, Cole Clausen has anything for him. Maybe one of the drivers that's a little farther in the back. Maybe they can work together. David Walker, Sky Lanning, Aiden and Darza to get a nice run up on the outside and get a run through there. But time is of the essence now for these drivers.
Yeah. Dalton's been able to, keep things clean and be very surgeon-like with the moves that he's made to get himself back up to the lead after dropping down there in the last pit cycle. But, defending with few to no laps to go is a completely different animal. So it's a challenge he hasn't really had this race, and we'll see how he handles it as the laps tick off.
And I'm not sure what happened here to Joseph Dormus as he was coming back up to the pack. Looks like he just caught them a little quicker than expected. He got onto the brakes, lost the car, and then spun again, getting back up off the apron. So looks like he had majority of the damage repaired in that car, but that's going to cost him a little bit more as that car banged up a little bit. He was our lead car a lap down. That's going to drop him another lap down, unfortunately. But lights are out on the pace car. Drivers heading down the back stretch. What's your strategy here with 10 to goes in if you're, say, Dalton Moore versus maybe a driver a little farther back, say 7th place Aiden Mendarza?
Yeah, if I'm Dalton Moore, I'm keeping it tight on the bottom and just watching that mirror to see if, there's a run that starts getting formed up there. So, personally, I've never been great about timing blocks well. I usually time them too early and get kind of double crossed on it, or I go to make a move and somehow everybody leaves that line once I get up there. So probably not the best expert to commentate on strategy for Dalton here, but yeah, as best he can, do a little bit of mirror driving, and if you do get past, hopefully there's enough time that you can use the draft and slingshot back around him and take the win. But I'm sure for him, he's probably looking at the bad result for Jack Humbert tonight and just going, well, if I finish first or finish second, it's still a huge bunch of points that I'm gaining on the championship.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to close that gap in on Humbert. No doubt as Humbert's going to finish up 17th place. But pace car off, front stretch we go. Dalton Moore going to lead them to green. Single file restart on this one. Dalton Moore just gives him a little check up there before we go, and we are green again. James Johnson holding tight on the back of Moore. Cole Clausen fell back a little bit. We're getting a nice run here now, working with David Walker to close that gap. Aiden Darza now a little bit of friction issue in the background, so that cleared up the Scrub Daddy car. We are single file. Here's in with 10 to go.
Yeah, it looks like Aiden Darza got a good run, and he's going to try and make that outside line stick, but nobody's really wanting to go with him, although the 41 and Joseph Dormus pulls up to work with him. So have a little bit of break there between third and fourth place, between Cole Clausen and David Walker. But as we head out of turn 4 down the tri-oval, that gap's going to close again.
Yeah, this is what the top 5 love seeing right now in their mirrors, isn't it? The cars at the back of this pack going too wide, battling, side drafting each other, just cost themselves some time. It's a lot of that top 5 cars really break away.
Yeah, if you're Dustin Mooney, you're sitting there cursing everybody behind you because you're like, hey, guys, I need y'all's help to stay on the back of this pack up here and have a chance. But, those guys are scrapping for the best that they can get. But, yeah, it's going to get dicey here as we see guys get runs and jump to the outside and see how far they can make it work, and then inevitably get clawed back in with the inside line bumping past back by them.
Looks like Mooney and Oliveira have now caught up to that back. Mooney trying to push Lanning up ahead. Oliveira looks like he's kind of hung out on the outside. Oliveira car, we saw spin early on. He's got that damage fixed up. He started this one at the tail end of the lead lap, got himself quickly up into 4th place though with that massive run once they caught the lead back with Dalton Moore. So, oh no, Andarza is around with Carrera at the back end. Yellow flag out, so we're going to have a bit of a sprint here, Zin, with potentially, it looks like about 6, maybe 5 laps to go when we go back green.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that probably either a bad push on the back bumper of Ondarza, or went to go for a gap that wasn't quite there. But oh no, it's the 41 again. Oh boy,
yeah, I'm not sure what happened
Dormis
there.
just driving through the back of Ondarza. Probably not the best thing to do to do that from there.
Not sure if he just got a massive run on there. It looks like he was almost in between thoughts whether he was going to try and go low or try and bump draft him, and caught in between 2 choices there. Got into the left rear corner of Andarza and around he went.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the.
What happened to him? Showing Dalton Moore and Dustin Mooney crashed here afterwards. Looks like he's
They just
maybe just
checking
slowed
up for the
down.
pace car.
Oh, might be. Yeah, I think you're right there. As it looks like Mooney flagged Oliveira too as well, Walker. So I think you're right. They're just checking up for the pace cars. Getting worried there that we had a pile up at the front of the field while we were checking back at what kicked off the yellow flag.
Man, they're pulling everything out of the bag to make this an exciting finish. But yeah, going back to the Dormis Ondarza incident, looked like kind of the it happened a few weeks ago in the real life NASCAR race with Christopher Bell, where he just went to do the crossover and completely misjudged it and just slammed into the back of the car in front of him. Nothing malicious, just bad timing on that move there. So yeah, maybe Dormis had a big run and just thought he was more clear than he was, or wasn't going to get to the back bumper as quickly as he did, and just unfortunate that there was a car right there.
Yeah, I've been caught in that moment before where you catch somebody a lot quicker than you're expecting, and all of a sudden it's, well, am I going to go left? Am I going to go right? And next thing you know, you just end up keep going straight, and you didn't mean to do it. But looks like we're going to go green with about 5 to go, Zin. Moore up front, Johnson in second, Clausen in third. Those 3 drivers we've seen pretty much up and around the front. Enjoy the race. Who would you, if you were a betting man right now, who do you think would be the favorite to bring this one home right now?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, you got Johnson and Moore in Discord talking with one another, so you know, it might be tough for Clausen there, but all it takes is for Clausen to be the first man to make a move and get some help from Guy Oliveira and David Walker behind him, and he's around them quicker than they realize.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, as you mentioned, more than likely, Moore and Johnson cooking up a scheme here to work together. So it is going to come down to potentially who's willing to work with Clausen, and or who's going to try and make the move around Clausen to potentially try and move up front. So the cars that don't have damage right now is Clausen, Oliveira, and Walker. Mooney in 6th, got a little bit of damage on the front end, and I think Scotty Lanning for the most part fairly clean. But it looks like he just hasn't had quite the pace to stay up front. So those are pretty much our drivers, as Jonathan Pereira and have officially got back on the lead lap. And it looks like Ronald Braylon too as well. He's been and got the damage repaired on his car, a little bit of damage on the front end, but we saw him with some pace early on. Our lone Toyota, if he can stay in the draft with somebody's in, he might be able to work with them to try and push them forward. Obviously, once he gets into clean air, he's going to lose a ton of pace.
Yeah, it's not often that the guy that leads the most laps wins at a super speedway race. So you would say the odds are not in Dalton Moore's favor, but then again, it's hard to bet against him with the driving that he's put on tonight.
We've got Blake Nance in chat. He's been cheerleading Dalton Moore for the majority of the race here, but he just made a mentioned, Moore is locked in, but I wouldn't bet on him, and he knows why. I'm not sure what kind of shade Blake's trying to throw Dalton Moore's way, but I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to put my money on Dalton Moore bringing this one home, as I think he's, as you mentioned, I think he's in chat with James Johnson. I think they've cooked up some kind of scheme for the two of them to stay up top. But it looks like we got Christopher Toppings dropped into the booth here. Chris, not the race that you were hoping for. It wrapped up there.
Yeah, that's super speedway racing for you. You know, you know what's going to happen at some point. It's all good.
So you've been racing with these guys all season. We just kind of placed our thoughts on who we thought has the best chance here of bringing this one home. We're kind of pushing the obvious ones being Moore, Johnson, and Clausen. Who at this point in time do you think has the best chance of bringing this one home?
I'll tell you what. Oh, Jonathan Pierre just got his lap back. He's been staying pretty clean. He had some steering wheel issues, I heard. I'm not going to count him out.
Oh, go with the dark horse, Pereira. Interesting. We'll see how it plays out here shortly as they're coming around out of 4. Lights are off on the pace car. Ready to get going green here shortly. It's going to be a 5-lap shootout. Remind me, Christopher, is there multiple green-white checker opportunities here, or is it just one shot at it?
It's just one green-white checkered if they wreck them, you know, before the white.
Here we go, folks. Dalton Moore going to lead the way. Connection issue there for Johnson again as he's going to blink out quickly. He's going to pop back in, but no doubt that's probably going to hurt his draft partner here, Dalton Moore. Not wanting to see that. 3 of them going to break away. Dalton Moore going to hold on to the top spot. Looks like Johnson going to stay somewhat tucked in behind. Look at he faked going high. Possibly trying to get Clausen to go with him and duck back down, but Oliveira tight on the back of Clausen. David Walker, Dustin Mooney, unfortunately not able to stay with Oliveira up top, so this is going to be a 4-car battle and this one's in.
Yeah, if Walker, Mooney, and Lanning could get linked up, they could make a serious run on here, but I think the guy that's ultimately going to drive that's going to be the 707 build submarines car there, Guy Oliveira. I think as he goes, the car behind him is going to go as well.
Board here with Dalton Moore looking back at Johnson. See Johnson stick the nose up top, get a little bit of air there, but it's going to be careful. We've seen a number of drivers getting spun in this race.
Yeah, that right rear pushing is real flame of fire there, and then you throw the connection issues in the mix too.
And it looks like Walker trying to look high, but nobody going with him. That's going to drop, cycle him back. Johnson again sticks the nose out for a little bit of air. Cole Clausen looking comfortable there in 3rd place, not really going with Johnson when he looks high. It's going to be a matter of time now. Who goes high and who's going to go with him? Dalton Moore looking comfortable up top.
Yeah, and some of these moves going high is just looking to see who maybe to go with them in the next couple of laps, not necessarily trying to make a position gain at the moment. So as it stands, everybody's content to run low, which means they're all waiting for that white flag to come out, and then it's all hands on deck.
Oh, yeah, Oliveira into the wall. Looks like we're going to stay green right now. The race is still out front. Dalton Moore, James Johnson, Cole Clausen breaking away. David Walker fell back, but he's still trying to get that high line to work. Nobody wants to go with him. Mooney can't really go with him. He's got that damage on the front end. He's trying to get as much draft off those 3 leaders as he can. Potentially could be a good pusher
I thought
here,
with I thought with Oliveira getting spun out there, that would have broken up the 2 packs and let the front 3 run away, but that has not happened at all.
Yeah, we're pushing the pusher here in the middle of this pack. As Mooney giving the Clausen a little bit of boost. They'll be able to get through the corner though. 3 laps to go on this one as they come around down the front straight. It's going to be 2 to go this time by. Moore leading them through. Johnson in behind, Clausen in 3rd. Mooney looking to the outside with that damage, though. He's not going to be able to go. He's a pusher at this point in time. Nobody to push, nobody willing to pop up with him.
Yeah, if I'm Dalton Moore, I'm getting excited seeing all this jockeying for position going on behind because nobody's really mounting a run with 2 to go here.
I think at this point in time, it is Moore's to lose. I think Johnson might be offering the only real competition for him here on this one. Cole Clausen seems fairly content to stay in 3rd. He hasn't really had anybody to kind of pick up that draft with him as he's popped in, but Mooney giving him a bump. Johnson pushing Moore the best he can. Into turn 3 they go. This will be the last time by here Moore looking strong. Is anybody going to be able to offer something for him here with 1 to go?
Lanning he's been getting some good runs.
Johnson's going to have to be real careful of those right rear pushes here on this final lap. He can turn the 18 real quick if he's not careful.
Little white flag out. Here they go. As Christopher mentioned, Scotty Lanning looks like a potential dark horse here at the back. In danger of losing the draft, but he might get a massive run here when that draft kicks in. He's going to go high and nobody to go with him, though. David Walker too far back. James Johnson, though, almost turning. Dalton Moore up ahead. Here comes Clausen. Clausen, nobody to go with him. There's 3 cars if they're content to try and stay out front. Mooney going to go high.
Johnson would have had to back off some there. Yeah, Johnson would have had to back off, get a little bit of gap to get the run off of 4 here, but he's not going to do that.
Here comes Lanning up on the outside. No partner, though. He's going to stall once he gets to Mooney. To the line they go. Dalton Moore going to bring this one home, win the penultimate round at Talladega. Congratulations, Dalton Moore. James Johnson going to come home in second. Cole Clausen going to finish it up in third. That's your podium positions there. Well done by all those drivers to take it to a green flag finish. And I think hats off to Aiden Darza not throwing the yellow. We saw Guy Oliveira go off and keep it under green for us.
He needs to go work in actual NASCAR race control.
Good call, guys. Good race.
Thanks, Christopher. Thanks for bringing us on board for the remainder of the season here. One more race to go. Charlotte is a bit of a different animal than the last few tracks we've seen. How are you feeling heading into next week?
It's going to be about managing your tires, taking care of your stuff. I can tell you that. Being consistent. My favorite there is going to be Brad Harris. I'd love to say that I could beat him, but I've tried to beat him on that track many times, and I can't do it. So,
my favorite is going to be Jack Humbert based on how he ran at Homestead. So it'll be if he can survive not getting wrecked, I think he might be a strong favorite too.
Yep, I think it's going to be between those two if I had to guess.
Yeah, Humbert came in leading the points. It'll be interesting to see how it shapes up coming out of this one with Humbert finishing 17th, Moore taking the win. Moore came in second place, not too far back. I think if I remember correctly, about 58 points. So that gap going to close up. It's going to be a real battle heading into Charlotte for the championship. So let's take a look at the final results. As I mentioned, Dalton Moore taking top spot. James Johnson in second. Cole Clausen rounding out the podium. Dustin Mooney with that damaged car still comes home in 4th place. So nice run by him. David Walker in 5th. Scotty Lanning persevered through that spin early on to get himself into 6th place. Jonathan Pereira in 7th. Ronald Bralin in 8th. And then we get into our lap down cars. Guy Oliveira, not the finish he was hoping for. Still going to wrap up in 9th. Aiden Zarza in 10th. On Dormus, Herring, Meneses, Christopher Toppings, Grady Mooney, Travis Plato, and Jack Humbert going to round out the field here. So it looks like we got our winner, Dalton Moore, in the booth. Dalton, congrats on the win. Looks like once, unfortunately, Jack Humbert got taken out, you were able to get yourself up into top spot and just kind of hold on to that position as the race progressed.
Oh, yeah. So I had a good jump on Jack right off the start. Was able to get in front of him, luckily. And then him and I were working together for a little bit. And then I don't know what happened to him. He just was in the dirt right afterwards. So but luckily I was able to just keep the top spot all the way up until I had the gas and go, and then worked my way back up and luckily locked on to James, and we took it from there. Because, man... James, I owe everything to James at this point because that man pushed me to the victory. Didn't try to pass me once.
We were talking offhand. Brian actually mentioned that it looked like the two of you were in Discord chat. Were you scheming up towards the end to try and work together, or was it kind of radio silent at the end?
We were going back and forth and everything on what we needed to do, trying to repeat Atlanta. And, luckily I was the one that had the first spot because, we got to a certain point. If we got to a certain lap, if whoever's behind the other, we're just going to push him forward. And he luckily gave me back the favor that I gave him at Atlanta. And here we are.
Excellent stuff. He came into this one 58 points down on Jack Humbert. Jack, unfortunately, going to finish 17th this one. Your top step on the podium. That's going to close the championship points down. How comfortable are you feeling heading into Charlotte, potentially wrapping this one up?
Charlotte's a fun one. As long as I can tame that bump coming out of 4, I think I'll be fine. As long as I get a good top 5 and, Jack has a bad day, I'll be fine.
It seems like it's going to come down to the two of you. I can't remember how close the rest of the field was, but we'll be looking forward to seeing how it unravels. Anybody you want to shout out here, Dalton, before we let you go?
Yeah. So of course, I got my 2 buddies that usually watch the stream. Shout out to them for supporting me and supporting the league and everything. Appreciate you guys for broadcasting. And once again, James Johnson, I really appreciate him. We've worked really well together throughout the year so far. And, we'll see what season 2 comes with both of us, and we'll see what happens.
Excellent stuff. Dalton, best of luck. I should actually make mention. I think we talked to you about this before. Blake Nance in chat was cheering you on, but he was reluctant on putting his money on you at the end. He said that whoever he bets on in football usually ends up losing, so he didn't want to put the pressure on you, but in the end it worked out well for you. So maybe you owe him a thanks for not betting on you at the end, but best of luck next week, Dalton. We hope to see you at the sharp end again.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.
So Zin, that's going to wrap it up here at Talladega. Final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, was kind of surprising to see the guys be so aggressive right off the rip, but that's super speedway racing in a nutshell, isn't it? Guys really trying to push towards the front, be as far away from where they think the inevitable wreck is going to come from, and in essence kind of caused some of the wrecks themselves. So moving to Charlotte next week, it's a completely different animal, but in some ways it's going to be just as chaotic, being the final race of the season. The championship battles are tight all the way through the top 5, top 6, so will be exciting to see how this season wraps up with these guys.
Absolutely, couldn't say it any better myself. So at that point in time, we'll let it go again. Thanks for Christopher Toppings for bringing us on again. And one more race left in this season, and then we'll take a little bit of a break before the next season starts. So for myself, Rob Campbell, and Brian's in with me here in the booth. This has been Racer Nexus, and this has been the WRL Cup Series. If you're interested in joining the league at all, link to their Discord is in the video description. They are always recruiting, so come on in and join in on the fun. You could be one of the drivers battling up top. So we'll catch you next week. Bye for now.